Good day. I am Marigil C. Perez and I will be giving critics about this scientific article entitled Effect of Sprouted Mung Bean Vignery Dieta Supplementation on Performance of Broilers During Mixed Chimera Species by V.S. Singh, Yoti Palod, Stuti Vatsya, Rajiv Ranjan Kumar, and S.K. Shukla. And these are the contents. First, we have the rationale or the problem. Next is the objectives of the study. Third is related literature and citations. Fourth is research methods. Fifth, results. Sixth, conclusions. Seventh, recommendations. And last, I am going to give my overall critique of this scientific article. Here's the problem. The difference between diet composition and coccidiosis has been investigated. It has been proved that the dietary levels of various nutrients influence coccidial infection in poultry, according to the studies of Allen et al. In 1998 and Singh et al. In 2013. It has also been suggested that the physical structure of the diet may also play a role in the development of the disease, according to Banfield and others in 2002. One of the issues that the researchers attempted to address is presented in this part. The researchers did a thorough background check just to state this type of issue, which makes it significant enough to justify their research. There is a study that serves as a basis to prove their claims. This can be observed in the study by Mulatu, Ameja, and Girma in 2019 and also from the study of Senarosa and Canciles in 2018. The statements in their studies have supporting evidence to aid their assertions. The present research was therefore conducted to study the effect of sprouted mung on growth performance and hematological and parasitological parameters of broilers experimentally infected with the mixed sporulated oocysts of a Mera species. The objectives of this study were testable and showed clear and concise statement to be addressed. These objectives are somehow researchable and relevant because this type of parasites were common in poultry, according to Gerhold in 2014. So I have here the three related literatures from this article. The coccidiosis is recognized as a protozoan disease that has a great economic impact on broiler production, according to Vigad in 2004 and Froelich and others in 2013. From the studies of Hadja and Zakib in 2012 and Singh et al. In 2013, they said that the problems faced in using chemotherapeutic drugs are further complicated by increasing concerns about the residues of these drugs in poultry nutrition. And the last one came from the link of Universal Tau, which states that protein, vitamins, enzymes, minerals, and trace minerals multiply from 300 to 1,200% in germinated seeds. So these literature reviews are comprehensive and problem-specific, of course. They include the relevant literature on each of the study's variables and are organized according to the objectives variables. This section includes citations to primary and secondary sources. The sources are not that particularly recent, but they aided readers in understanding the arguments. However, it lacks a theoretical framework. It lacks a introductory section and a summary. So as you can see here, one literature is inappropriately cited, this one. According to Charles S. and Donna H. School of Medicine Library in 2020, the Citing a literature should contain the last name of the author and the year it was published. So it is not properly cited. It was cited directly by inserting the link after the literature. And I also have here the summary of their research methods. So a total of 61-day-old Vencub broiler chicks were randomly allotted into three treatment groups, and a total of 61-day-old Vencub broiler chicks were randomly allotted into three treatment groups, like the groups A, B, and C. The group A is the uninfected control, the group B is the infected one, and the group C is the sprouted mung supplemented chicks. The feed and the water were provided ad libitum throughout the experimental period. Mixed cultures of Aemera oocysts were obtained from litter, droppings, intestinal contents, and mucous membranes of the infected birds collected during the outbreak of coccidiosis and were kept in a 2.5% potassium dichromate solution for sporulation. And then the sporulated oocysts were counted in McMaster's chamber, according to Davies and others in 1960. Body weights of broiler chicks were recorded at the start of the experiment. Thereafter, weekly body weight, feed intake, and daily mortality were recorded for each replicate of each group up to the age of 35 days. And to evaluate the influence of sprouted mung on coccidial infection, present survival was recorded for different groups. So various parasitological parameters, or in other words, the fecal score, the percent weight gain, and performance index were calculated as per the method of Morehouse and Barron in 1970. Statistical analysis for growth and hematological parameters was carried out using one-way ANOVA technique described by Sedeker and Kochran in 1994. And for parasitological parameters, the Kochran-Ran's approximate test was used. So this article's procedures were explained briefly. It is also divided into general methods and statistical tools. After all, this study includes parasitology, so its management practices should be meticulous. Although this part is just the summary, or this slide or presentation is just a summary, the article itself had a detailed explanation for this. As for the statistical tools, they will be using the ANOVA for growth and hematological parameters. The other type of test, which is the Kochran's approximate test, is for the parasitological parameters. So this test is not explained in this article, or the Kochran approximate test. This type of test can be defined briefly, like in the study of Mulato, Ameja, and Girma in 2019. They explained the least significant difference test. So these are the identified in terms of body weight gain, feed intake, and feed efficiency ratio. So the feed intake and the FER were significantly higher in the sprouted mung supplemented group, or the group C, as compared to control groups like the group A and B during the pre-infection days of 1 to 21. So this indicates a positive influence of sprouted mung supplementation on the growth performance of broilers. So in 0 to 14 days of post-infection, the feed intake and FER were significantly higher also in group C, or the sprouted mung supplemented group, as compared to the infected control groups. The weight gain and feed intake were significantly higher also in sprouted Hmong supplemented group as compared to the control groups. The FER was statistically similar in the control uninfected or the group A and sprouted Hmong supplemented with group C, while a significantly lower FER was noted in the group B. In terms of percent fecal score, percent survival, percent weight gain, performance index, and the average oocyst production, the percent reduction in oocyst production, average oocyst index, lesion score, and percent protection against lesions were also revealed. So this is for the parasitological parameters. And there was a significant improvement in all of these parameters in the sprouted Hmong supplemented group as compared to the control infected groups. So the percent livability was 100% in sprouted Hmong supplemented groups or the group C, indicating its effectiveness in the prevention of mortality due to coccidial infection. So the hemoglobin and packed cell volume were different during the sixth day post-infection. Among the broilers of three groups, being maximum in the control uninfected or the group A, followed by the sprouted Hmong B supplemented group or the group C, and the minimum control is in group B. However, on the 14th day post-infection, so non-significant differences in hemoglobin and PCV values were noted among the three broilers of three groups. So it indicates that the broiler chicks that receive a sprouted Hmong supplemented diet exhibited less loss of blood despite coccidial infection. So the results section here was answered based on the objectives variables. The data analysis was explained and the strategies were properly justified and described. Each variable's findings are clearly described. Several studies also supported the findings, making the data analysis refined and reliable for substantiating claims. In terms of data presentation, the tables used are simple, and it makes the data gathered clearer and more understandable for the readers because it correlates to the analysis stated in the article. So the conclusion that we have here says that it can be suggested that feeding sprouted Hmong or the Hmong, which is 10 grams per bird per day, may be beneficial to protect broiler chickens against coccidiosis-induced alteration in growth, hematological, and parasitological parameters. So the main point was drawn here, and it also indicates the usefulness of this study. However, there is no conclusion section that explains the researchers' general observations. And the recommendations that the researchers stated here is feeding sprouted Hmong, which is 10 grams per bird per day, may be beneficial to protect broiler chickens against coccidiosis. Since this study does not have any recommendation section, this can be included in recommendations. Aside from that, there were no suggestions for future researchers. So this will not allow those researchers who are interested in this issue to do so. However, this statement was made for practical applications. So this paper was written very well in general. It described how the research was conducted, how the procedures were carried out, how the data was collected, and how the data was interpreted in a way that a reader could understand based on the data presented in the article. The contents and parts were nearly complete, yet constructed simply. The main findings were also highlighted, and it also clearly explained the study's claims. As a result, this study can be a reliable source for other researchers who want to study broiler performance, hematological, and parasitological parameters. So that ends my presentation. Thank you for listening.